So I always ask this question about any kind of camping stuff. Is the bed area, is it rated for vigorous activity? Calisthenics or wrestling?
Definitely.
Wrestling. You know how wrestling can break out sometimes.
Yeah, it's rated for vigorous activity. It'll take a 600-pound point load right on the edge of the cantilever. So as I've told a number of people, it's rated for very big people or
Good.
even group calisthenics. That said, I wouldn't really go for 6 or 8, but it could handle 4, no problem.
Right. Well, you never can tell what's happening on the Jeep outing. If you see a pineapple sticker, you got to be careful. This interview episode is brought to you by Tyree Off-Road. Lights for people that need to get shit done. Visit tyreeoffroad.com right now. That's TYRI offroad.com. All right, tonight we're going to be talking with Sean from Tune Outdoor. And Sean, I will dare say this is something that almost everybody wants, either a trailer with a tent on it or a tent that they can put on the back of their truck. And in this case, probably a Gladiator if they're Jeep people. So give people an idea who you are and about the company that you work for, please.
Sounds good. Tony, first, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today and talk to you and your audience. I am one of the founders of Tune Outdoor. We're a company in Denver, Colorado. We make lightweight backcountry pickup campers. And what really makes our pickup camper unique is that it's custom. So it's designed industrially in a way where we can fit the camper specifically and cleanly to any type of pickup. So it ranges from a Rivian or a Gladiator at the smaller sizes up to an 8-foot F-150 or Silverado. So it's a unique product in that it's been designed to have that attribute. And then, boy, we can take off from there talking about a lot of things about it, but it's very modern. It's very configurable and modular, and our customers love it and they're going crazy on it. So we just hit our 2-year anniversary yesterday and relaunched our website. So things have gone well for us.
That's great. I mean, how did you get this thing started? I mean, what was the reason for? Because there's a lot of tents and things that go on trucks and trailers and all kinds of things out there. How did you guys come up with this, and why did you think it was going to be different?
We were looking for the sweet spot between slide-in trailers that are heavy, very functional, comfortable but heavy, and wedge trailers where the sleeping space is somewhat constrained, and in many cases they end up being a sleeping platform and a gear carrier. Right? There's no space for cooking, playing cards in a rainstorm, just being comfortable, letting your dog hang out with you. So we looked for that sweet spot. We created a cantilever over the cab, which creates enough space for a queen bed in every pickup out there without a slide out or any manipulation or modification. So that was one big change that we did, and that just creates a comfort level that people don't have in other pop-up campers like ours. And then, when you get into weight between 400 and 600 pounds as a starting weight, it just allows people to go into places that otherwise they couldn't get to.
Mm-hmm. So. How do you guys handle, and maybe you don't, how do you guys handle making the vehicle, if it's an off-road vehicle, too top heavy to be safely wheeled off-road?
What do you mean?
So for example, a Jeep Gladiator definitely meant to go off-road. And if you start putting a lot of weight up top, the center of gravity moves up. And that means you are more likely to get into a situation where you could roll over. Not good for the Jeep, and definitely not good for the camper.
Yeah, that's a unique question. No one's ever asked me that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the majority of the weight is sitting on the bed rails of the pickup, right? So the heaviest extrusions are right on the bed rails. And the pop top itself is relatively light. The extrusions get lighter as they go up. So from an engineering standpoint, it's not causing Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Going off. It's not causing the vehicle to perform differently. In fact, we did a lot of testing actually weighing down the roof between 500 and 1,000 pounds. And, clearly we set 500 as a ceiling for putting weight on the roof when you're driving the vehicle, but there's no rollover issues or problems with that. And in fact, the camper the Tune M1 can take more weight than that comfortably.
So you mentioned Rivian. I can well imagine that the Rivian customers are very interested in the weight because that's going to affect how far they can go on a charge. Did you guys address that, or how do you address that when a Rivian customer wants to know about what's this going to do to my tongue-in-cheek MPG?
Yeah, we have not done deep research on that. Go Fast Campers GFC has done some research on that. Their setup, which is slightly lighter than ours, is having about a 15% impact on the Rivian
mileage, charge
range.
Range.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that people really, I think one of the things people really love about having a camper or a trailer with a camper or anything like that is the ability to go various places and have a place to stay. You don't have to worry about a hotel. You don't have to, it's just fun. You have these in your mind, you have these vistas that you wake up to in the morning, beautiful woods, beautiful mountains, and so on and so forth. I can well imagine that you get a lot of inquiries about campers for the vehicles. And you guys it's not just for the Gladiator though. It's for, like you said earlier, for several trucks. And this also could be for your tow rigs. If you want to, if you don't want to put it on your Jeep or your Gladiator, and you have a tow rig, you could put one on your tow rig.
Any pickup, right? So, as I stated earlier, I'll rephrase it so people understand, but it's custom, meaning that it's cut specifically to fit the dimensions of the camper that it's going on. So there's 3 primary dimensions that change in a camper: bed width, bed length, and cab height. And the sub-bill of materials for each truck is different and fits that truck precisely. So, you've got a gap between, for the cantilevered overhang where the bed goes, between the cab and the camper itself, and that gap is standard. So we're actually modifying construction each time.
And I think I saw a picture on your site, which is tuneoutdoor.com. I forgot to mention that. I think I saw a picture of actually a Gladiator with a set of lights mounted on the A-pillar mount. So the overhang is not going to impact any lights that you may have on your Jeep.
Correct. One of the interesting things about our design, so it's custom in that it fits your truck. It's also custom in the sense that all of the extrusions from which we build the camper are proprietary and designed and owned by us. So they're all T-tracked. So you can pretty much put a light rail anywhere you want around the complete perimeter of the camper itself. At 3 different levels, there's T-track. So there's really a lot you can do to customize it. The T-track is on both the inside and the outside of the camper. So for instance, 6-foot bed F-150 has about 500 linear feet of T-track built into the camper when the person gets it. So there's no screwing in extra T-track. It's all there for the buyer to work with.
So explain to me what T-track is.
So T-track is basically a slot where you can place a nut into it and turn the nut and screw a bolt into the nut and connect anything you want to it. Mm-hmm. So it's basically an attachment device.
So it's kind of like the Mopar trail system for the Gladiator, where you can put something in the bed and attach things in the bed. So where is this T-track on your camper?
Every extrusion that it's made of. So there's. Oh
wow! Okay.
Yeah, the extrusion.
So there's a lot of attachment points.
Yeah, 500 linear feet. As I said,
I didn't know what a T-track was, so it didn't penetrate. So that's really cool. So you could put lights, you could put, I guess you could put a shower on there. You could put all kinds of things on those tracks.
Sure. So awnings or a shower on the outside, cabinetry, seating,
Cameras.
Other applications, TVs, with
Roughing it. Yeah. You could.
yeah, we've got people doing all kinds of stuff.
That's great.
So it's really cool. And there's a couple cross members on the roof. So those are also T-tracked. That's where people are doing the TV application.
Mhm.
But it's pretty unique and very DIY for people who want to do their own thing.
Yeah. Well, I think at least Jeepers, and I'm sure other off-roaders are the same way, they seem to be more self-sufficient than others. So having that ability to do things like that, make modifications. And of course, Jeepers love making modifications to be a little different than everybody else. And it sounds like this thing is exactly fits that bill.
For sure. And the other thing, speaking about Jeeps, we've done a lot of Gladiators, and why the Gladiator owners like our product is that there's what we've trademarked as a wing wall, but it's a bump out of the extrusion on the sides. So you're getting an extra 9 inches from the inside of your truck bed rail of space on the sides of your pickup. And basically, as you pull those up and the camper goes all the way forward, you're picking up on a Gladiator, about 20% more linear square footage than you otherwise would have. So it creates a space that's much more usable than the Gladiator is without the camper.
Right. Yeah, it's a neat looking setup too, and with the camper, whatever the thing that pops up with it down, it's not obtrusive. It doesn't look like the old fisherman out there with the Ford F-150s with that huge aluminum camper thing, cab over thing that goes down the road and kind of wobbles because it's so big. This is kind of a narrow down low type thing and doesn't really take away from the aesthetics of the overall look of the Jeep, at least in my opinion.
That's good to hear. People agree. I mean, it's quite modern, and the founders with me, who are the designers of this product, did a great job. I mean, it's very innovative, forward, modern product, both in terms of the industrial design and the materials.
Oh, and I see that at least in the picture I'm looking at, I don't know if this is a Gladiator or not. It probably doesn't matter. I see that you also have access to the back glass of the vehicle. So I guess you could actually have the back glass open, the little window open, and have things coming through or power lines. Well, that's a good idea. How do you handle power in there? Do you have outlets and stuff that you can plug into?
Good question. So first off, you were talking about the slider between the cab and the camper.
Mm-hmm.
And we do install a slider that allows the camper to be opened and the slider to be opened, and there to be a pass-through between the cab and the camper itself. But in terms of power, we have a couple options. So one, you need power inside the camper, and we offer a Goal Zero inverter battery, but there's a million inverter batteries out there. So you need one of those inside your Tune M1 truck camper. And then we also do a shore power access point on the side awnings. And basically that allows you, if you're in campgrounds, to hook into shore power and charge either your battery, or if you want to run it direct into some other type of inverter, you can. So it just depends what type of system people are running for power.
So looking at this picture, this isn't a Gladiator, but it probably isn't much different. So people understand there's the pop-up, but you still have the entire bed available to you. So if you have some sort of system there, or maybe a place for a refrigerator, you can still maintain that stuff in there and put this camper on there. Is that a fair statement to say?
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is, you've got this cantilevered bed platform over the cab. That's where you sleep. It's always available. So it's always ready to go. And then your whole truck bed is open and available for whatever you want. So, some people have a cooler, some have an electric fridge. You've got room for your gear, room for your bags, room for your dog. If you're out for a long time, you can put cabinetry in it and carry, a full cook set and clothing. So it's really up to the individual.
So would you say that it would be correct to say that really what you're adding this, when you're putting this camper on your Gladiator, you're adding a place to sleep and a cover for the entire bed. So you have a place in the bed where you can do things, but the camper itself doesn't detract from that. So this is just an addition to that gives you more useful space and a sizable, comfortable place to sleep.
Yeah, in fact, inside a Gladiator, it's about, if I'm not mistaken, the Gladiator is about 6'6" with the pop top up. So there's plenty of room for tall people, right? You've got,
oh wow, that's amazing.
36 inches in the bed platform to work with. So you're not uncomfortable in your sleeping space. You could literally hang out and camp there for a long weekend if the weather was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so
you're going to be outside, but you could.
I understand what you're saying now as far as playing cards or something when it's raining outside. You literally could put a pop-up table in there and a couple of fold-out chairs, and now you're sitting comfortably, or a couple of cushions, and now you're sitting comfortably out of the rain.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very cool. And the dog looks really comfortable in this picture, I'll just say. So
exactly. That's one of my partner's dogs.
Is it? So as far as the mattress goes, is that part of the system, or do you leave that up to the individual?
Well, both. I mean, we sell a Hess mattress because we found that at this point in time, that's the best mattress out there. We started in the beginning, we offered our own mattress, but frankly, you sleep more in the vehicle than you do anything. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to give people the opportunity to have a really good product. So we sell Hess. And that mattress is fit very cleanly to the sleeping platform. So for instance, the measurement on a mid-size truck is different from the measurement on a full-size truck. There's an extra 6 inches on a full-size in the sleeping platform.
So I always ask this question about any kind of camping stuff. Is the bed area, is it rated for vigorous activity? Calisthenics or wrestling, you know how wrestling can break out sometimes.
Yeah, it's rated for vigorous activity. It'll take a 600-pound point load right on the edge of the cantilever. So as I've told a number of people, it's rated for very big people or even group calisthenics. That said, I wouldn't really go for 6 or 8, but it could handle 4, no problem.
Right. Well, you never can tell what's happening on the G padding. If you see a pineapple sticker, you got to be careful. So that was the other thing I was going to say. Ask about the mattress that you guys sell. Is it fat guy rated? It's not an air mattress, is it? Because no air mattress is fat guy rated.
No, I don't like the air mattresses. We decided not to do those. We tested them; they're just not as comfortable. It's a 5-inch dual density foam mattress.
Nice, absolutely, yeah.
And there's 8 inches of space, so with a 5-inch mattress, you can still carry full bedding and pillows and get pop top down.
Oh, that's great. That's great, because that's when you're ready to go to bed or you're ready to set up camp. You don't want it to take 2 hours to do. And a pop-up always indicates that it's not going to take much effort. But yeah, if you have to store the mattress, not the mattress, but yeah, the mattress and the pillows and the bedding someplace else, that just ties into the time it takes you to get ready for bed.
For sure.
Or vigorous activity.
Yeah, most people are like me. That is, they stop driving at the moment that they're ready to collapse.
Exactly.
Right? So if you can get into the pop top in a minute and you can be in your bed 1 minute later, it makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. I mean, I think most people, I like the idea of carrying the hotel room around with me, paying for it once instead of, every time you go to use it. But I haven't done a lot of camping. Last time I did camping, I had a tent that fit the bed of the Gladiator. And that's the reason why I asked about the mattress, because I had an air mattress and that was just shit. It's just no point. Just why is it even there? Because you're on the bed of the truck anyway. It wasn't bad if I'd had a good mattress. Anyway, my point being is that I don't know if you have much information on this, but as far as camping places, can you just pop this thing up anywhere? I mean, obviously you wouldn't have electrical hookups, but can you just like pull into a Walmart? You talk about driving until you're going to drop. Can you just pull into a Walmart, pop up that tent and sleep there?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've pulled into a lot of just quiet streets in small towns and popped it up if you're a morning person, if you're rolling in at 10 p.m. and you're going to be up and out at 6 or 7, it's no issue whatsoever. There's also a lot of really nice tools out there now, like the xjtalk.com, which offers basically unimproved camping areas or, public spaces where you can camp.
So dirt.com actually lists places that you can camp at.
Yeah, it's a, crowdsourced app. So people are adding spaces where they've camped and spaces they find. And I recently did Southern Arizona for a week and just stayed in places I found on dirt. It was really nice, quiet, remote, nobody near me. So
very, very nice. I like that.
But to your first point, I mean, the beauty of this product, we just did a big customer survey, and what our customers said is that it allowed them to feel a lot more freedom about getting out, right?
Yeah.
They just felt differently about it. It works differently for them, and it improved their lifestyles. So,
is this would this be something that you would put on your Gladiator and leave it there, or is it easy to remove in case you want to store it in your garage, maybe hang it from something in the garage?
Really good question. In the perfect world, right, you would have a garage pulley system because that's the cleanest way to do it.
Right.
You can and if you needed to take it off, you take it off and put it back on. In the real world, with any truck camper, when you put it back on, there's some work involved. If you're really good at it, it might be 30 or 45 minutes. If you're bad, it could be 2 hours, right? Because you've got to put a gasket in there or replace the gasket if it's not working. And then you have to, connect the mounting brackets and get the right tension on those. So there are some steps, but it can be stored. We just came out with camper jacks that we've been working on for 8 months. And that's one storage method. You could use a pulley in your garage, but the vast majority of people are just leaving them on.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. So this isn't a situation, but it's an example, an idea. So I've got a Gladiator. I want one of these campers on my Gladiator. I don't want to take it off and on for the reasons why you just mentioned. I work downtown and I have to park my Gladiator in a parking garage. I know that you can't speak to all the heights because, people lift the Jeep and they put bigger tires and stuff on it. But have you run across this situation where somebody says, can I put this in a parking garage? And I would think that in some cases you can.
Yeah, that's a really good question you're thinking here, because that comes up a lot, right?
Oh,
so
good.
An 8-foot garage, you're probably fine. But if you get into a 7-foot garage, which a lot of public garages now are at 7 feet, you likely have a problem. It's not, the tune might fit, but the fan on top of the tune, which most of our customers are installing, is another 5 inches. And that's going to put you in between 7 and 8 feet. And then, of course, there's suspension work, tires, a lot of considerations. So, there have been people who can't get what they want because their garage is not tall enough.
Right.
So,
Oh, and then you think about that, home garages. Absolutely. I know we have some, at least one Jeep Talk Show team member that went to 38s because he doesn't think it'll fit with 40s in the garage. I said, be a man and park it outside. Get the 40s. No, he wants it in the garage, but that's fine.
And, there's HOAs that say you can't park a truck with a camper on it outside.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
We've seen that as well.
Sure.
Most people are fine, but the building standards have changed. Garages are getting smaller and smaller.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything else, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that in HOA restrictions might even be more of a reason why you need to be able to take that camper off if you can't park your truck, full-size truck, or even the mid-size trucks. I would have a hard time parking the Gladiator in the garage. I got a full-size F-150 with not crew cab, I think it's club cab. So the little area behind where you could store all your junk behind the main seats. It was made like for kids and stuff, but you could store all your junk there. When we first got our house, I was able to park it in the garage, but damn, had to watch that garage door come down to see if it was going to miss that back bumper. Yeah, you're right. They just don't make the garages that big. So, but that's really interesting. But being able to take it off, especially, is there you said it's about 500 pounds, right? 400 to 600 pounds, depending on the outfitting of it.
Yeah, it depends on the custom sizing, right? So the smaller the truck bed and the lower the cab,
Right.
the less weight, because it's primarily aluminum, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to go anywhere between 400 on a Rivian and 600 on a 6'8" Silverado,
Okay.
right? And I'm including some other bells and whistles that are probably on there.
No, it's good. It's good to be conservative in the estimate. So I don't think that would be, I mean, like a Wrangler top, I think is a couple $100. So I would think that you'd be able to get a pulley system set up in your garage to be able to lift the top off and hang it there while you were away. And of course, there would be some difficulties in removing it, putting it back together. Are there any electrical connections that you have to disconnect whenever you take the camper off of the truck?
No electrical, just 6 mounting brackets to the bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to the bed rails or to the brackets that are inside the truck bed.
And the additional battery that you were talking about would be stored in the bed of the truck.
Correct.
Yeah.
Normally, right? It could be picked up and taken into the house. So.
Right, but I mean, as far as for going camping with the top, it's not something that's part of the top. It would be in the bed, so it definitely wouldn't be something you'd have to remove if you were removing the camper top.
Correct. Yeah.
Right, and I was just thinking, man, maybe you could hang it off a T-channel, but no, that's just a joke.
Well, that's what we do. We have a.
Oh, really? I didn't think it'd be strong enough to hold a battery.
Oh, for sure. We've tested it at 100+ pounds. The T-Track is super strong.
That's neat. I'm glad I asked that.
Full cabinetry out of it, and we're starting to work on our own interiors now. So we think we'll do something that's right up the alley of our design style and very lightweight. That's what we're looking for.
So not to scare the hell out of people, and mind you, I have seen trailers outfitted, and this isn't a trailer, but I've seen trailers outfitted at around $30,000, and that's probably cheap now. What is the opening bid for your camper?
The entry price on a Gladiator would be $12,999. And then the accessories would go up from there.
Right.
But probably the average Gladiator price, is around $16K.
Yeah.
If you're doing more expensive ads like solar, some people want 2 panels. That's probably, if I'm not mistaken, $1,400. The heater is expensive, but it kind of depends what you do with it, but you're in between, say, 13 and 25.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure it just depends, but what do you see the majority of people that are getting? I don't think they probably get the base model. They probably like the idea of getting the base because of the cost, but they start looking at the add-ons. What kind of add-ons do you have? What's the ones that people really seem to like to get?
Well, the first thing we have is the trailer comes standard with aluminum awnings on both sides and in back. And you can replace that with glass for $500 a panel. And the glass is really popular. It's 1/4-inch architectural tempered smoke glass. So it's really beautiful.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And it's a full sheet. So it's not a cutout, it's the full awning. So it's strikingly aesthetic when you look at it. And then, it's cool. So we sell a lot of that. We're doing, at this point, a lot of solar. People really like solar in them. We do the pass-through window on the vast majority of trucks, the pass-through into the cab.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do a fan on just about every build.
I would think you'd have to have that. It's like the ceiling fan for the camper.
Yeah, it's a good note. Maybe, maybe not. It kind of depends on your state. If you're sort of in the mountain states like we are, there's 6 windows in the pop top, and they're quite big. Mm-hmm. So you're getting so much airflow when you're camping that you really don't need the fan. Now, if you're cooking inside, you probably do want a fan.
Right.
And if you're in a much more humid environment, and you want more circulation, it's good to have.
And you warned your husband about not fixing chili on the camp out. Is the fan reversible? Can you go either direction with the fan?
For sure. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go, guys. Just could get that so you can take care of the complaining. Now the glass that you were talking about, you're talking about the opening between the bed rail and the bottom of the camper. So the glass would be there?
The bottom of the canopy. Yep.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't think glass in the pop-up would work out very well.
No, the pop-ups, polyester, seam tape polyester.
And I do see that they're rolled up. So you can, for privacy, before wrestling, you can actually raise those things up and get them in place. Do all, what is that, to 5, 6 windows, if you will? Are they all able to be rolled up?
Yeah.
Especially if you want to sleep late.
For sure. The canopy windows come with both bug netting and fabric. So you can either close them or you can have them open with airflow. And the roof itself is fiberglass reinforced polypropylene, so FRP, and it's white. So it's got some translucent properties. So you get, a little bit of light that comes through that. It's quite soothing. People really like that. If they want to sleep in, you can use the T-track and create some sort of curtain system to cover that if needed. So,
and this question comes from ignorance and fear. How does this handle bears?
Good question. The same sort of maxim goes for ours, as does camping in Yosemite, right? Which is take the food out of your truck and put it in a decent cooler with a lock under the truck or off to the side, right? Because bears are going to find food. So are they going to come up and rip down your canopy? Never seen it, never heard of it, but it is possible if you've got food up high in your rig. But bears just want to eat. So.
Oh yeah. Is there anything? Well, you got the T-tracks in there, so that's probably the answer. But are there any provisions or anything that you've run across where you can add an air conditioner? I asked that because Southeast Texas. I mean, we have 2 non-consecutive winter days every year. Sometimes it's in 2 years too.
Yeah. No, it's a really good question. Again, you're hitting a lot of the important points on this. We do not offer an air conditioner now, primarily because they're such a power hog.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, they suck your battery down in an hour, 2 hours max. That said, we have found and worked with some of our customers to do air conditioning, and we think there's either standalone units that can sit on the roof and permanently on the roof, and then you just pipe them in probably directly into the sleeping canopy area. Or there's a unit that fits where the fan would fit, and you can use that slot.
Nice.
For air conditioning, but you would have to beef up the batteries.
Or go to those places that provide power, where you're going to be spending money, right? So it just depends on how badly you need the air conditioning.
Yeah, in Texas you need it. In the deep south, in the summer you need it.
You were talking about the solar panels earlier. I don't mean to poo-poo on the solar panels, but a lot of people don't understand what the solar panels do, how much power they can generate. And correct me on this, but I see solar panels with the number that you can carry on a vehicle as a battery trickle charger at best.
You want to talk more about that?
Sure. I want to know if I'm right or wrong, or because if people get the solar panels thinking they're going to do a lot more than what they are actually able to do. They just don't put out that much wattage.
Yeah, I think if you're in a camping environment where your panels are getting 6 to 8 hours of good sun in a day, that will recharge the type of battery you're using in our camper, right? In a higher power need environment, solar is probably not the best option.
Right. Certainly not for air conditioners. I mean, I think everybody understands that.
I would agree. You'd want shore power or something better, right? but it works pretty well for running. These come with halo LED lighting in the roof. It's on a dimmer switch, super cool lighting. The solar works great for that. It works
Oh
great
yeah.
for,
God bless LEDs, low power. It's a
yeah,
wonderful.
exactly. So it's all relative to what you're doing
Mhm.
in the camper.
And that's the reason why I asked, is the expectation. People go, oh yeah, I need solar because I need to run the TV, the blender, the coffee maker. Nope, the heater. Oh, you mentioned heater earlier. Is that a diesel heater that you guys offer, or is it what kind of heater is it?
We use a propane heater.
Mhm.
It's made by Truma, which is a German company. It's a really beautiful heater. We started with diesel, and we finished with propane. We thought this was a better product.
Mhm.
So that's what we do.
Well,
But
it probably is a lot. Well, I guess diesel's easy to get. When we went out as a group, when we went out to EJS in 2023, there were several people of the team that purchased diesel heaters, and they were all hyped up about them. I remember one guy was talking about it really wasn't even a point to have it because there was so much cold air coming in through the tent that he had. It was the dog was snuggling up to him to try to get warm, even with the diesel heater going. So I was just curious.
No, it's a good point. We found with diesel, the one thing, if you're gonna tap into your fuel system in your truck, diesel's great, right? But if you have to fill up diesel and carry diesel and potentially spill diesel in your truck,
Yeah,
not so great.
yeah.
So we found propane more efficient, cleaner, and easier to work with than diesel.
So on the propane, and I know it, I don't know if the unit that you guys sell has a tank on it or not. I would suspect that you can add your tank or choose what tank size you want to put on there. But is the diesel, not diesel, is the propane heater long enough for the night? Can it last one night before you have to get more propane?
Oh, no. Normally it lasts a week.
Perfect. I love that answer.
Yeah. Now, if you're trying to keep your camper at 60 degrees and you're at minus 10, it might be one night, right? So it's all relative to what you do with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But,
it's like the height thing. It just depends on what's going on. Yeah.
But normally you're getting a week at least.
Oh, very nice. And you could use that propane to cook with too, I would imagine.
Correct. Yeah, I did on my last trip. So the heater sits on the bulkhead facing the cab, and then it's plumbed inside the extrusion, so it's hidden. And then it goes to a tank mount at the back on the corner. So it's a really sweet system. You can do a 5 or 10 pound tank. 5-pound tank costs $2 to fill. 10-pound is about four to five. So it's a pretty cool system overall.
Probably a lot safer than the diesel, I would think too.
I feel that way.
Yeah. And we're talking about temperatures. Do you have a temperature rating for the camper, or maybe just a suggested range that you should use this in?
No, we have people using it in the winter for skiing quite a lot. So it's more about, what your system is to keep it warm when it's cold.
And of course, you can get a sleeping bag that's good for, negative 20 or 30 or 40 degrees. So you could always just, even if it's cold inside the camper, as long as you're crawling into a sleeping bag, that you're going to be okay. Is that a fair statement?
For sure. You can also put an electric blanket underneath and turn that on, right? So, if it's going to be really cold, if you do a number of things, including we do an insulation pack, which goes on the inside of the canopy and
nice.
The R rating of the canopy itself.
Yeah.
So, the biggest issue in our camper is that aluminum, is basically a sieve for hot or cold.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's highly conductive. And you can't really do anything about that unless you want to line the aluminum. But with a heater and a good system and an insulation pack, it stays very warm.
You guys need to do an expedition to the North or South Pole, whichever one the penguins are at.
To prove it out, right?
Yeah. It'd be a great thing for the social media. And speaking of the social media, you know how the kids love the social media. Where can they find you guys on social media?
We're on both Instagram and we're on YouTube at Tune Outdoor. So we're quite visible on both.
Oh, one question I wanted to ask before we go here. Tune Outdoor. I understand the outdoor part. What's the tune part?
Really good question again. So after we got into the product process and determined we were going to go to market, took care of some funding and how we're going to do it, and we started working on the name. We were relatively.
Isn't that difficult? Isn't that so hard? Especially if you got more than one person asking, trying to come up with it.
Sure. You've got a group of people, right? You've got a trademark environment that's really difficult to work with. But we started with Viking ships. And the reason why we did that is one of our founders is Swedish.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, we really like the maneuverability of Viking ships. As crafts, they were really unique in both where they could go and how quickly they could get there. So in that process, we came up with the word tune. And then from that, we really like this sort of state of being to tune in or tune out with our products. So we went with that, and it's been quite popular.
And how worried were you, or actually were you checking for domain names before you settled on that? Like, let's see if that's available.
We did a full search. We did a paid legal search, right?
Oh, nice. So here, quite often, and I didn't warn you about this, quite often I'll come up with Jeep Talk Show $1 million ideas. So I'm an amateur radio operator, have been since the age of 16. So whenever I see tune, I'm thinking about you're tuning the radio. So you guys need to come up with some ham related stuff on your site and appeal to the ham radio operators. And they're going to love the tune thing because they're immediately going to get that. So, cause I could quite easily see somebody that wants to go out and go camping. And one of the things they're going to do is have their ham radio in there and raise an antenna and get on the air and talk around the world from their tune outdoor camper. So that's a perfect situation. And all they need is a coffee maker and a radio and a microphone.
Yeah, for sure. I like it, Tony.
Thank you very much.
Take that one and come back to me. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, very good.
So tell me, how many young people are doing ham radio operation? Is it picking up proponents through all generations, or where is it?
I have not kept up with it. A number of years ago now, they removed the Morse code requirement because they were having problems with people. There's a lot of people interested in ham radio, but not so many of them were willing to learn Morse code, even though that was the only way they could communicate in Independence Day. So if you remember that, they were dee, all that stuff because all the other communications were down. And that's the wonderful thing about Morse code. That's the wonderful thing about Morse code. You can usually get that transmission through when you can't do other things. So kids, learn your Morse code. All right, Sean, thank you so much for making time for us today. And you guys go and check out tuneoutdoor.com. Can people just call and say, hey, I'm not sure what I want. I've got a 2021 Gladiator and I need someone for that, but I don't know what add-ons I need. And somebody can go over that with them on the phone?
For sure, yeah. They can reach us on the phone. They can reach us by text. So we're open to any type of communication media, and we'll answer questions and work with our customers. So we're really focused on service as an organization. We get complimented for that all the time. So
good. Please
reach out.
And you guys sell all over. It comes, it gets shipped, and it comes on a back of an 18-wheeler, UPS, or do you have to come by and pick it up? I mean, how do you get one of these things?
Thanks for raising that. First off, it has to be installed. So probably 60% of our installs are here in Colorado, but we have 2 dealer installers in California, one in the south, one in the north. We have one in Virginia. We have one in New Hampshire, which is very popular as a tax-free state. And we have one in Oregon, which is also a tax-free state. So we've got the bases more or less covered. We're a little weak in the upper Midwest, but not that many people are buying truck campers there right now anyway. So
okay. So it has to be installed. It's not a user installable deal. Or I guess it could be user installed, but getting it to them is the issue.
Correct. And it's a little bit sophisticated. It's not easy to install. It's probably an hour, but best to have it done by a technician.
Yeah, it's an hour when you know what you're doing. Right. All right, great. Well, again, go over to tuneoutdoor.com, ask the questions, find out how you can get it. Personally, I think it's a great excuse for a trip to Colorado, which is just absolutely beautiful. I've only been through the little tip, the 2 times I've gone from Southeast Texas to EJS, Moab, but it's impressive. It's impressive seeing those mountains because, it's pretty flat around here. So Very exciting. I bet you it's a wonderful place to live. What part of Colorado are you in?
We're in Denver.
Oh, yeah.
3 of us come from Golden, which is a little bit west. So
Yeah, very, very
yeah,
cool.
we like entertaining our customers, and it is a beautiful state. So
Yeah,
we're excited.
very, very cool. Thanks again, Sean. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again because we have more information that we need to get from you.
Thank you kindly. Appreciate it, Tony.
Broadcasting since 2010.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.